Okay, so 2:30, we'll go ahead and get started. In this webinar, we're going to be covering the Ticketflipping Toolbox. Thanks everyone for joining today. All right, so to get started, what we're going to be covering is just kind of how to set up the toolbox, how to get started. So first and foremost, when you first sign up as a member, you'll get a link to this right here. And what this is going to have is just a link to do it. I already have my Chrome plugin installed right here. So you'll have that installed right away. And then from there, we'll kind of get started. You'll go ahead and slide over to our first Ticketmaster event tab. And the basic functionality of the toolbox, of course, is checking remaining events. So here I'm on a Cardi B event, just an event I'm looking at or considering. I'll click the extension in the top right corner. It opens it up. It tells me the total remaining tickets, 472 out of 1,700. And then I can go ahead and filter by section, or I can search sections. I can also filter by price range and also by primary versus resale. So this is useful because you can kind of take a look at how many tickets are remaining per section and get a good idea of where they are, what the price ranges are, what the get-ins are. So that's just kind of how you initially check the total remaining tickets. So this is just how you check Ticketmaster events. It's pretty easy. The next thing we have is after you check an event, there's an option to go ahead and quickly jump over to StubHub. This can be really useful because it allows you to see how many tickets there are on StubHub and how many are remaining. In this bottom section, if you have StubHub Pro access, it'll actually tell you the amount of the last ticket sold. So I'll go ahead and make sure I'm logged into my StubHub account. Make sure it's all logged in. Okay. And then I'll refresh this. Okay. All right, so back on the event, like I said, you can click this link. This extension comes up, and right now you can see the last sold transaction was 138. And then from there, I can just go ahead and click this link, and it'll take me to the corresponding StubHub event, which is really useful. It saves you a bunch of time. You don't have to go back and forth and look for the event on StubHub. Once you're on this page, what our extension also will do is this little pop-up right here. It says, note you must be logged in to view the pricing information. What this does is, without listing an event for Cardi B or whatever event, you can go ahead and click it, and it's going to take you to immediately the StubHub Pro access page. And this is really useful because you don't have to create a fake listing to go look at the event. You can just pull it right up, and from here you can look at the sold data. In order to have access to the sold data, you must have 7 StubHub sales in the past year to get StubHub Pro access, or else you won't see the sold tab and it won't be as useful. On top of that, what our tool does is it allows you to kind of select what sections you want to look at or what zones you want to look at. So I'm going to look at the floor levels. I'm going to update it, and then I can do check volume versus price. And what this does is it takes pretty much all the data that you have down in here and puts it in a graph version, and it tells you volume sold versus average ticket price. So you can easily see, as the prices go down, the average volume sold goes up, and it tells you, so as the price went up here, March 13th, less and less people are buying tickets. This can be useful for getting an idea of how events are selling on StubHub, and yeah, it's pretty useful to have just to look at. It's a nice visual way to look at it, but just simply being able to look at the StubHub sold data, it can be really, really useful. So moving on, the Black Keys, they're doing really well. It's a big band. I'm looking at Chicago, the United Center, and same thing again. I can just go ahead and click this, and it'll tell me the remaining ticket counts. And I can search by section, by price. I can get information on like the seats. So it breaks it all down for you. You can get a good idea of how much things are selling for, and you pretty much have all the data you need on it. And the toolbox is obviously really useful when it comes to general admission events. So now I'm coming over to a Grizz event at Red Hat Amphitheater in Raleigh, and this is completely GA. There's no map for it. There's pretty much nothing that you know about this event, but with the Toolbox you can go ahead and just click the link. Sometimes you have to give it a refresh. I have a lot of tabs open, so my computer is dealing with a lot. So give it a refresh and then it should work. And now I know that there's 2,957 tickets for this event. I know how many GA tickets are left, so they're all GA, and you can see exactly how many tickets there are for this event. And similarly, you can go ahead and check the StubHub event. The sale transaction, there's been 16 sold tickets on StubHub at $57. So that gives you an idea that, like, hey, this event is selling, after fees, this event's probably $45, $50 anyways, but it's still selling above that on StubHub. And it's May 4th, which is, it's still got a bit of time. It's about a month and a little bit, but it's not that far away. But it's a good way to get an idea of how many tickets there are. So there's, about 3,000 tickets with 298 tickets on StubHub. So it's good to have an idea of how many tickets are remaining. The -1, that's a good question. The -1 for some Ticketmaster events, this is as a result of just how the server sends the information. So I know that the venue capacity for this place is about 5,000, but when you have a -1, that means that Ticketmaster doesn't have that data sent or on their site for this event. So it just pretty much means that there isn't any data that we're able to pull for this event. Most of them should not have that. For example, this one should have, it has the total remaining tickets. And it takes a second to load in, but when you have -1, it means it's just not loading properly because Ticketmaster just has it weird on their site and it kind of has to refresh once in a while. So that's what -1 means. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to just type them in here, and I have it on a second screen. I can take a look at it. So I'll kind of keep going forward. So Ticketmaster event checks, that's the basic premise. Very helpful for general admission events, very helpful in pre-sales to have a better idea of, how many tickets are selling, how many tickets are available, because during a pre-sale, it's actually going to say like, hey, this is how many tickets are available right now for sale. Sorry, I have a lot of drop alerts going right now. So it'll tell you exactly how many tickets there are available, and then half an hour later you're able to come in and see like, hey, there's another 300 tickets that Ticketmaster has made available, because they drop tickets even during the pre-sale, like time after time. So 30 minutes later there may be more tickets that there weren't there before. So I'll go ahead and move on and explain how it works on Ticketfly. So on Ticketfly you can also check events. It works the same exact way. You just go in the upper right hand corner and you click the extension, and then it tells you how many total tickets there are. So here you would usually not know how many tickets there are, but with our extension it tells you exactly how many are left for floor, for each section particularly, and their prices. So it's really, really useful to get an idea of Ticketfly events. It only works on mapped. What are the different fill colors? Why do GA venues give sections? So, okay, I'm looking at the questions some more. So GA venues give sections like GA11 because that's how they're broken down. So it's one category, but it's a subset, and then they add different amounts of tickets in those little things, and sometimes they'll add more tickets to different GA sections. So GA11, GA12, those are sections, and sometimes it also breaks down lawn by sections of lawn. So although you may only see one section on the map, Ticketmaster actually has those split up differently. Athar, what exactly do you mean by fill colors? Can you explain that? Red means resale and green means primary. So hopping back to Ticketfly, it works only on these mapped events. Yeah, there's like a map section at the bottom here. It works on these events. So we have a list of all, well, not all, just a list of our mapped Ticketfly events, and you can take a look. There's a good bit of them, and I'll give an example of where the Toolbox doesn't work. So for this event, just another mapped event, 246 tickets. I can go ahead and check it. But then for this event, John Prine, it's sold out, and see how there's no map here at the bottom. It's just like just this top section. When you click it, it's just going to say 0 tickets. and it will actually work. So for some events it won't work, but for all mapped events it will work. So Capitol Theater, this is one that is mapped. So let me go ahead and go to Ticketfly and see if I can find an event that doesn't work, just to give an example of which events work and which events don't work. So here we don't have the map for it. When I click the extension, all it's going to say is just hello and then your name, but it doesn't actually show the ticket count because the way the events are set up is different and it doesn't give us access to that information. So just keep that in mind. It works for mapped Ticketfly events only. Moving on to access, this is another event, another website where we can check the total remaining ticket counts. What you have to do is keep in mind that all these sections, so tickets, meet and greet, early entry VIP, all these are separate buckets of tickets, so you can check them. You can check them individually, so you have to check all of them to see. So there might be a pre-sale, there might be VIP, and you have to check all of them. So I'll show you how it works for this event. I'll go ahead and open up just the main one. And I think this event is sold out, but I'll go ahead and take a look at it anyways. It'll work the same. So there are currently no tickets available for purchase. I'm going to click it, and then the toolbox is going to say, there's no tickets available, and that's normal. I'll go ahead and close this page. But if I go to this one right here, the meet and greet with Little Pump, I'm going to open it up and see if there are tickets remaining for this. I'm not saying necessarily you will want to buy meet and greet tickets, but for this event or anything, but it's just an example of how it works. So we can see that for the meet and greet, there's actually 31 tickets remaining. So you have to keep that in mind. Those buckets are separate. So on Access, you have to kind of click each one, open it up, and see how many tickets are left for that section. I'll show one more example event here. Why would the check StubHub button say cannot load StubHub? When it says it cannot load StubHub event, that means that StubHub doesn't have that same event listed. So it doesn't. It just shows like, hey, this event is not listed on StubHub, or sometimes they're so different that that we have a hard time linking the Ticketmaster with StubHub. Like 99% of the time, you're not going to have that issue. Sometimes StubHub names it really different. You know how StubHub can be with getting their events listed properly. So I'll go ahead and check this event as well and show you how that works. So confirm, and now we can see there's 1,026 tickets for this event for Ditto for Terminal 5 in NYC, June 19th. So this event, I know that this venue has about a 3,000 venue capacity. About 2,000 have sold. It's June 19th. There's still quite a bit of time. $45 tickets. This might be a good one to keep an eye on over time and see how it does. I'll take a look at these questions. Do you have to run these tools from a server, or can you use a regular CPU internet? So this should run completely fine on your computer. Pretty much any, most computers, anything that has Chrome, it doesn't take that many resources to run it. If you can run Chrome, you'll be able to run the toolbox just fine. So no, you don't need anything special for it.
What's good, bro?
And does the toolbox have ticket value analysis, Carlos? So I'll kind of show you what that means in a section. In a second here. Do you have to be signed in StubHub? Yeah. So if it says it cannot load StubHub event, that last part of it, you have to be logged in. And sometimes you have to refresh. So for this one, I refreshed the page and then it pulled the sold data and it shows 138, and this is the last sales transaction. So you have to be logged into StubHub and have StubHub Pro access. So Carlos, no, it doesn't tell you which ones are the highest value. I'm going to kind of explain how you can look at it, but it helps you find high value tickets. It doesn't tell you which ones are high value, but I'm going to break down kind of how you can understand which ones are higher value, which ones are lesser value. So I'm just going to keep moving forward, and I'll get to more of the questions at the end. So let me just go ahead and continue on, and I'll explain it as we go through it. So for another feature of the toolbox is here I have my some of my events pulled up for Ticketmaster. I'll go ahead and click See Details, And what it's going to do is our toolbox is going to come up with a little link right here that says view mobile tickets. This is another feature, and what this does is that allows you to view your mobile tickets on your computer. And all you have to do is click it here. I'm obviously not going to do it to protect my barcodes, but you click this, it's going to open a PDF. What you're going to do is select Control P to print, whatever you do to print, and then instead of printing, just select to save as a PDF file. And then from there, you'll be able to split up the PDF and take a look at it and crop the images and upload the tickets. So Ticketmaster is now updating, doing rotating barcodes, so this might not be as useful, but for events that are not rotating mobile barcodes and you can do PDF transfers, this is a really useful way to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of dive into a little bit more of the complex features of the toolbox. I was just showing the simple aspects of it. Now if you open up the toolbox and go ahead and click over to favorites, what this is going to do is bring up all your favorited events. And how I favorite an event is by going here and let's see if I have one of these that aren't favorited. Give me 1 second. So it looks like I have all these already saved, but what you're going to do is you're going to come here and all you have to do is click the favorite event, and it's I'm taking it off now, and then I can add it back in. And you click it, and what it's going to do is going to take this event and add it to your favorites list. So once you're in favorited, that means this event is favorited, and you can go ahead and select to start tracking it or not track it. So as you can see, I have 17 events loaded in here. I have the time, the title, the date, venue, event ID, the status, and the period. And these are all of my events, and I can go ahead and click on one of these events. I'll go ahead and go down to one of them that isn't currently automated and click this. So this event I just loaded in here, I can go ahead and select this event and choose, do I want it to be tracked every 30 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours, every 4 hours, 8 hours, or 24 hours. And what this is going to do is, as long as you have your Chrome open, you have to have a computer that's always running and Chrome open. So Chrome has to be open with the toolbox on it. That's the only kind of caveat to it. You want to have a desktop sort of dedicated to automating if you're going to be using it for automation. So for now, I'm going to select 30 minutes and go ahead and hit start. And then what that does is it's going to bring up a list of more features. So now on this event, I can go ahead and set either a low ticket alert or a drop ticket alert. So this event, October 11th, there's probably, there's a lot of tickets left. I doubt they're going to be dropping tickets anymore, but I do want to get a low ticket alert, and I'm going to set it for whenever the event gets to, let's say, 500 remaining tickets, and I'll go ahead and add it in here. And now it's going to track when that event gets below 500 events, and then it's going to send me an alert. And I'm going to know exactly when this event reaches below 500. This might not be the best example, but it's just kind of like it works the same for any event. So I'll go ahead and go back, and when you do get a low ticket alert, it's going to come up at the top of this page right here, and it's going to say low ticket alert and whatever event. So Bad Bunny in Orlando hit 500 primary tickets, and then Laney hit 690 primary, and all your alerts are going to come here. They're also going to be sent to you in Slack, and in Slack it's going to say, hey, you have a low ticket alert, and you'll have a message on your phone for it. And we're working on being able to send those via email as well, but for now it'll just be in Slack, and it'll be right here, and you can go ahead and go to the event, or you can go ahead and just clear it from here. So that's one really useful feature of how that works. I'll go ahead and show another example. So for this event, for grids, I can also set, so for some events you can track by section as well. So if I want to know a section, I can go ahead and say, hey, I don't want all primary, I just want one particular section to remind me. So this is an entirely GA event, so it's not the best example, but let me do the black keys. So I'll do, okay, I want to know when there's a drop alert for, let's say, floors. These are all floor ones. I'll do the floor ones, and I'll say drop ticket alert. If they add in 10 tickets to floor one, then you'll be able to go ahead and get an alert, and now when tickets are added to the floor, I'll get an alert to know like, hey, more tickets were added to this event, so you can see maybe I want to go back in and buy some more tickets. So that's one really useful feature of having this, the drop ticket alerts and the low ticket alerts. Furthermore, I'm going to kind of keep going here. When you're on this event, I've been tracking this event for about 2-3 days now. I'll be able to click when you're on this page, instead of going down here, I'll just go ahead and select next, and it's going to bring me to this page where I can select the time frame. So from and to. So you want to select the date you started. So I started this on the 27th, and today's the 29th, and I want to view it by 4-hour increments, and click view. And what this does is it shows me the remaining ticket counts by 4-hour interviews since I've started tracking it. So 2985, and then you can see as it goes down, and then right here we can see that Ticketmaster added in about, however, like 5 or 7 tickets right here, and then but it's consistently going down and then sometimes back up. But you can kind of see where the inventory is over time, and you can also break this down further. So let's say you want to see it for every 8 hours, you can go ahead and click view, and it kind of gives you an idea of how it's selling. So I should have had this tracking for much longer, but if I do by day, the last 2 days, it sold 20 tickets. So in the last 2 days, it sold 20 tickets. What I can do with this is an event that's selling really, really well. I can have it tracking for over a period of a month or even longer than that. I can look at it and I can see, hey, I have this many tickets. I have 2,000 tickets. It's selling, or let's say I have 500 tickets. It's selling about 100 tickets a week, and I have 2 months left. Knowing that, what I can do is kind of have a better idea of how much an event is selling and how fast it's selling. So if I have 2 months and only it's selling 100 a week and has 500 tickets, I can estimate that, hey, I'll have 3 weeks and this event, I have 3 weeks extra after the event sold out. So in 5 weeks, this event has the potentially it can potentially sell out. So it's not guaranteed, but it can potentially sell out, and it can give you a really good idea of how you can find these events. And I'll explain how that works in just a second. I'll go ahead and look over some of the questions now and see what happens. So D. Burkhart, I see you have a question. Do the alerts pop up on desktop, and are they seen in real time? So yes, the alerts also pop up on your desktop. For example, if you have an alert, it should pop up on your desktop. If you just turn on your computer and open up Chrome for the first time, and it'll check all your events again. So if you don't have it running continuously, then it won't show. But if you pull it up, then you'll be able to see like, hey, now all these have triggered because I have my computer on. So that's why I recommend having one event that's always going, and that way you can have a better idea of how much is this event really really selling, and how can you have a better idea of when to buy tickets and when to not do it. So I'll go ahead and open up Ticketmaster and kind of go over how I would take advantage of the toolbox and kind of how we do some event research to get a better understanding of how can I use the toolbox to help me find events. So this is how I do it. I know members can use it all kinds of different ways, but this is just one way that I've found works well for me. So I go to Ticketmaster, I click concerts, I scroll down. So let me select a different location. Let's say I want to look for events in New York. Anywhere in New York really works for me. Just high population, and I just like events there. And then I'll go ahead and select a date range. So I want to look at events where I still have time to buy tickets that are GA, but there's a lot of time left until the event. So I'll go ahead and select, I want to see tickets from, let's do May 30th to June 30th, May 31st to June 30th. So I'm going to go ahead and apply. And once I have that open, let me close some of these tabs out. I have a lot of stuff going on. So now what I can do is look at these events, look at the venues, and I can just go ahead and start opening them up. So I'll just open a list of venues that I just want to take a look at, and the list of events, and see what I'm dealing with here. So as these load in, I can go ahead. So this one's sold out. So I have some tickets here. So this is a country mega ticket. Don't necessarily want to look at these. I have to make sure everything's loaded in first. This is a Ticketweb event. We cannot check Ticketweb currently. I just want all the Ticketmaster and all the Live Nation events. So let's click this one and give it a refresh so we get some data on it. Okay. Looks like this is giving me -1, and this can happen sometimes. Like you can see, I have you can't see the top of my browser, but I have about 20 or so tabs open right now, and they can cause some issues. So let me go ahead and close all these ticket web links, which are no longer useful, and also close that. And refresh one more time, see if this does it. So it looks like this event is not working for us, and that's fine. That does tend to happen from time to time. This can be because I have a lot of these Ticketmaster links open. Majority of the time, you're not going to have this issue. But right now, since I'm using it so heavily, then it might cause this problem. So let me go ahead and keep going. So I'll open a few more events, see if we have any better luck. I know Mercury Lounge. And I think Ticketmaster is not liking me on here as much anymore, so I'm having some issues. Let's see if I can get past this. Okay, so they're not going to let me look at these events right now. Okay, that's fine. That's because I just have so many tabs going at the same time. But the way that would work is that I would open a lot of different events, and what that would do is I'll be able to check the remaining ticket counts and see how many there are. And if I like some of them, let's say there's some that have 30 tickets left or however many tickets left, I can go ahead and favorite that event, and then when it gets down to below 200 level or whatever alert I want to set, then I'll set an alert for it. So one that I have here is the eels. Let's see if I can maybe open this one up and have some better luck. Okay, so this one loaded just fine. Okay, so 234, and this is May 1st, so we have about a month. This is one that I was looking at yesterday, and I went ahead and favorited it. And I have it. I can set an alert for this, and I found this simply by just going through that concert page and just opening up as many as I could, and then checking the ticket count on all of them. And once I've checked the ticket count, I have an idea like, okay, hey, I found 5 events that have a good potential of selling completely out. They're all general admission. They're all between $30 to $50 price range. And my goal is to pretty much wait for it to get down to like 100 tickets, 50 tickets. I'll buy up a bunch of them. And then I know for a fact it's going to sell out because I can quickly go ahead and check StubHub. There's only 162 on StubHub. And, that's not that much. And it's not selling for that great either. But it might have the potential of completely selling out. How consistently do you have to refresh your home IP address when you have issues with Ticketmaster, just like you did? So that's a good question. Usually I refresh my IP every once in a while. Most of the time I'm not going to have this issue. Right now, it's just I literally have like 30 tabs open, and it can cause complete problems with just like the IP being flagged. So it's kind of a pain. I refresh it. If I'm doing a lot of them at once, then I'll have to refresh it once in a while. Usually it's not a problem. It's just simply because now I'm running through a bunch of events, and they don't like that I'm opening them all up at once. But most of the time I don't have any problems with it, and I don't expect to have problems with it either. So I'm gonna go ahead and look over some of these questions and see what you guys have to say. Can you explain what actions count against the daily toolbox limit for each user level? Yeah, so the way the toolbox works is every time you check a StubHub event, this one, the country mega ticket's not available on StubHub, so that won't come up. But every time you click this, let me see if this is an issue. So it looks like this event isn't on StubHub as well. Let's go to something more common. So that counts as a click. This is one ticket count. So I go ahead and open this up. This counts as a check. When you go ahead and click this, this also counts as a check. So every time you check an event, whether on Ticketmaster, on StubHub, Access, Ticketfly, on Access, since they are split up in this way, each time you check a bucket, it'll also count as a check. So here you can kind of select the ones you want to look at. Usually you'll just look at the pre-sale and tickets, so that'll count as 2 checks. And that's kind of how it works. Also, viewing mobile tickets, this is considered 1 check. And then, but what doesn't count as a check is that if you're on StubHub and you are on this event and you click this Get Pricing Info button, which is super helpful, you don't have to create a fake listing, that does not count as a daily check. So you can use that as much as you want. I use it all the time, and it's super helpful to get information on what's sold, but it doesn't count as a check, so it's really nice. And then for automation, the way that the checks count is, for example, I have all of mine checking at 30-minute intervals. So if I have, let's say I have 10 events checking every 30 minutes, that's going to be 48 times a day. 48 times 10 events, so that's 480 checks per day. So the automation will really eat into the checks a lot more. That's why you can kind of choose how you want to time it. So if you want 1 hour, 2 hours, you can change it up and save your checks. Sometimes you only need to check an event once a day. Sometimes you want to look at it more closely, so every 30 minutes if you're during the pre-sale or whenever you want to look at it. So it can vary. A lot of people use it to check just once a day or a couple times a day. So I need to clear my cookies. Yeah, I do need to clear my cookies. I need to clear my cookies. Let me see if I can do that real quick. Okay, I'll do that later. So that's pretty much how it works. I'll explain kind of the differences between the tier levels. So the ticket flipping toolbox is split up into 3 tiers. You have, so the toolbox is able to tell you which event looks good for buying tickets. Yes, Carlos, it does tell you which tickets are good for buying, because you can kind of estimate how well an event is doing and get a better idea of when to buy it. So with GA events, it can pretty much tell you, it can pretty much estimate when it's going to sell. Any plans to make the toolbox available for other browsers? Right now, Wyatt, we don't have any plans. Edit this cookie. Okay, yeah, I'll have to get that. It's just the way I have this computer set up, I have it set up just for this live stream mostly, so it's not my regular setup. I'm not exactly fluid as I normally would be when I'm actually doing some buying or So no, we don't have any plans to add it to Mozilla or Internet Explorer for now. We're in Chrome. It's developed around Chrome. It works for some members on Insomniac as well, and it's really useful. So I'm sorry to keep jumping back and forth, but I'll hop back into Pro, Expert, and Enterprise. So the way it works is that Pro has 45 daily toolbox uses. That means you can check 45 events, and you can use the automation. But like I said, for example, if you check 10, like you check 15 events, then you're going to have only 30 checks left for that day. That means you can check 30 other events one time. So, and no other toolbox uses. So it really depends on kind of what you need. Pro also does not include drop checker or ticket alerts. So if you go in here, if you're a Pro member, you do not have access. You can track an event and you can go ahead and look at the data. That still works as a Pro member, but what you don't have is the ability to set these alerts. So for drop or low ticket alert, that's reserved for the higher tier members. For Expert and Enterprise, Expert has 450 daily uses and Enterprise has 900 daily uses. So that's kind of how it breaks down. And it can be it can vary on what you need. So if you're more of a business and you have some employees, then you might want to have the larger packages. If it's just you and you want to just test it out, then we recommend just getting started with Pro. So it really varies on what you need, but overall, it's pretty useful. It depends on and this also comes with Slack. It comes with all our event recommendations, all of that on top of this. And if you ever want to go back and learn more about these tools, the videos underneath here explain everything. So the ticket counter, the StubHub sales, the analytics, the check StubHub event, view mobile tickets. And also one thing I didn't mention is that there has on events that are refundable. So some events have a refund. So some venues offer refunds is what I'm trying to say. And our toolbox will tell you. So House of Blues Boston offers refunds. And in this picture, you can see there's a little refund indicator, and that's from the toolbox telling you like, hey, if you buy this, you have 3 days to contact the venue and refund it if you want to. So it can be kind of useful if that's what you want to do. Furthermore, we have pre-sales. So what this is in pre-sale password indicator, if you're on a pre-sale event and you have presalepasswordinfo.com, I don't know my login, and I don't have it saved on this computer, but you log into here. And then you go back to Ticketmaster and say you're on a pre-sale. Right here, it's going to come up with an option to log in, and then it's going to automatically fill in the pre-sale password for you right at the top and unlock this. So it's kind of helpful for getting those pre-sales quickly and not having to click back and forth if you're looking at a lot of pre-sale events. Is StubHub getting away from the Pro? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Is StubHub getting away from do you mean StubHub Pro, like giving access to the sold tab? Jeff, can you explain your question a little bit? And then can you go over the index and upcoming event feed? Yeah, I can go over this. So maybe we can have a different webinar on that. That's kind of something different. This is mostly meant to focus on the toolbox. If you have any other questions with regards to what can the toolbox do, what is it used for, feel free to ask now, because that's pretty much the extent of it. All the tools I've explained are here. There's actually one more thing I want to show you guys really quickly. So let's say I'm going to hop back here and I'm on this event page. What you can also do is click the toolbox, and what it's going to do, they told me they're getting rid of the system. Okay. So we're not really aware of that yet, Jeff, but we're working on it. We'll see kind of what we can do once that happens. If they were to get rid of that, that would be more of a pain to have not be able to look at that sold data. But you'll still be able to see at least the top part of this with the total tickets remaining, the total listing, and then the minimum maximum prices. So this information can be really helpful to kind of get an idea of the secondary and primary. So going back to here. When you're on this event, just on a regular StubHub event page, what you want to do is say, hey, I want to sell a ticket for this event. I want to price my ticket at $100, and I want an idea of when it'll sell. So I click check, and what this is going to do is it's going to kind of run an algorithm and give you an idea of when the event will sell based on how it has been currently selling. So there's not many tickets priced that high. You can go down and see there's some people priced above that in 101. And this is going to send you a message in Slack. And based on how the events has been selling over time, it'll give you a good idea of, hey, will this event sell out? Will this event not sell out? And it'll say the way it'll look is that it'll say within this many days based on the event. So there are 19 tickets left cheaper for your event. Within 20 days, you'll be able to expect to sell this event, and that message will come directly to you in Slack. So it can be good to gauge it. It's not a super complex algorithm. What it does is it's based on how many tickets have passed, how many tickets there are, how many tickets are selling average per day, and then also how many tickets are left until the event. So you can kind of get a good idea of how fast an event will sell, and you can just go ahead and simply do it from here. And like I said, this notification is sent to you in Slack from Slackbot, similar to how you get the drop alerts or low ticket alerts. So that's kind of another feature of StubHub, and I found it pretty useful to get an idea quickly of can I expect, if I buy this ticket for 70 and I want to sell it for 100, can I sell it for 100 by that point? Okay, so does anyone have any? I'm going to scroll up to these questions, see if I missed anything. Explain. Too many windows open. Yeah, I had too many windows open. That's the problem. Let me see. Does the toolbox work for pre-sales? I tried this important pre-sales and it didn't pop up. The toolbox should work with pre-sales. As long as it's on Ticketmaster and Live Nation, it should always work. If you ever have issues, then send us a message and we'll kind of look at it to see how we can fix that. But that's pretty much covered the majority of it. So like I've explained, it's pretty much all the tools, the automation, and on our page here it explains all the different features and how they work. So you can just scroll down and take a look at it. That's pretty much the end. If anyone has any more questions or things you'd want to know about, cases where you'd want to use a toolbox, feel free to ask. If not, I'll just stay on for a couple more minutes here, and then we'll start wrapping it up. So I guess I can just kind of go through this one more time. Let's see if I can maybe pull some events this time without it kicking me out, to show kind of how I've been personally finding events to buy. So yeah, no, it's I need to clear my cookies definitely. Let me go ahead and clear these actually. Last 7 days, clear data. Are you affiliated with any POS? So we are not directly affiliated. We have partnerships with a few different point of sale systems. I personally use DTI because it really helps me save a lot of time. I don't have to focus so much on just the transferring and the issues with dealing with customers and those kind of things. So those are the kind of things that that I like DTI for, because it saves me a lot of time. We do work with POS Next. We have an offer for them as well. So we recommend DTI, POS Next. Of course, there's Skybox. We do not have any current plans to integrate into a POS system. That is something we're looking at potentially. So if something like that were to happen, we'd definitely reach out. We think it would be something useful if you could just kind of pull in the information, right? Like I know a lot of POSs include StubHub data real quickly. If we could have a similar thing with our toolbox, it could be pretty useful. Will you add eTix and the rest of Ticketfly events? So eTix, I think it's similar to Ticketfly because it's a map. I think they have mapped events as well and non-mapped events. So we're looking at eTix and some of the other Ticketfly events. We're working on adding the other Ticketfly events. We're not sure if we can do it yet, but at some point we don't have access. Do I buy and sell daily? I do not buy and sell daily. I do buy and sell, pretty frequently, just not very often. I have, we're obviously working on the tools and whatnot, so we don't have time to be a full-time broker, but I do have all the tools and information to know what to buy. So when I do buy, I'm pretty safe, and I just kind of use the data to help me buy stuff that's priced poorly, and I'm pretty much 100% sure that it'll make me money. So I do buy, but not that often. And then how do I use DTI if you have StubHub program? Yeah, so that's a good question. So a lot of people have that issue if they used a consignment POS, they don't have sales on their own StubHub account. So how do you see that information? So what I did was I made a StubHub account simply for using to see the access on the toolbox. And what I did was I just made an account. I bought some tickets, or I just listed some tickets. You don't even have to list real tickets. You can list anything, any PDF, and then go in and buy your own tickets from a different account. once you buy tickets from those from that account, you have to have 7 individual sales. So once you have 7 sales on StubHub, then you will get access to the sold tab right here, and you'll also get access to this information at the bottom. So you just have to make 7 sales to yourself, and then you're fine. So that's really what I recommend. That's what a lot of our brokers have done. It's kind of a pain, but it's really no other way to do it. So yeah. What are my thoughts on the current state of the industry? So I think there's a lot of different people coming into the industry right now. You know, with the different groups, and you know, a lot of the sneaker people coming in, and you know, those are just kind of minor things. But with rotating barcodes, that can be different. That's going to make it a little harder. You're going to have to do mobile transfers on a lot of these events, and it's going to be you know, bad if you try to deliver like a PDF or a screenshot and it doesn't work. So I can see that being a problem for a lot of people. I know a lot of people have had trouble with their season tickets and kind of where that's been going. So that can also, you know, that can definitely also be a problem moving forward if teams don't want you to be able to sell their tickets, or they limit how many you can sell, or stuff like that. But it's I think overall, I think the industry is really not going to go anywhere. It's, you know, brokers are fairly, you know, self-reliant people. They're able to find their way around different things, and you know, there will be new kind of roadblocks where they're limiting your account, and a lot of Ticketmaster accounts are getting closed down. But I think that's something that we've had to deal with for a long time, and we'll just have to keep you know, moving forward, working around the issues, because ultimately these big companies, you know, Ticketmaster, Live Nation, they rely on resale. They need resale. They make a lot of their money on resale. I don't know how much, but that's why it's an important part of it. So it's not necessarily the main thing to think about, but it's important to keep in mind, like, you know, different problems that come up, and we'll just kind of have to get through it. So I feel like I'm rambling now, but I've pretty much covered what the Toolbox can do. You know, we're having an update coming out recently, which will allow you to favorite, you know, well over 100 events, and we're also trying to add email notifications along with the ability to have events being tracked at closer than 30 minutes. So for drop tickets, it'll be really useful if you're having events being tracked every, like, let's say 5 minutes or even 1 minute for some events. So that's kind of where we are right now. And if anyone has any more questions about, you know, checking different, you know, different websites and such, feel free to ask. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. We have 60 people on here. I really appreciate people hopping on. I didn't know how many people we'd be having on here today, but I'm excited that we had this many. And we'll have some more videos like this coming forward, maybe not live, maybe some live explaining different parts of it. Whoever asked about the index and the on sale feed, that is also in Slack, and I can also explain the index maybe in another webinar, or maybe just a video that we'll send out to members explaining what the index is and how it can be used. I know we haven't really talked about it much, but it's pretty useful, and it can kind of give you a good idea of, you know, how stuff is selling. So with that being said, if anyone has any more questions, last call. If not, we'll just go ahead and close it off for now. Like I said, feel free to you know, register for the Toolbox, try it out. There are trial offers that we can set up for people for the Toolbox. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Hope you all have a good one. Thanks for watching this video, and if you have any questions, send us an email and we'll be more than happy to answer them for you.